Hey, welcome to the H-Team once again. I'm Chef Jay.
And I'm the Situation, Weldon Smith. And today we're talking about the second generation of the Chevy Camaros, which goes from 1970 to 1981.
First generation was, what, 3 years?
This one's 11 years. And actually in 1971, the SS350 Camaro was chosen as one of the top 10 cars in the world by Road and Track.
Anyway, in 1970, that was the very first revision of the Camaro. They changed the body style, from the first generation.
Right. They did 3 major revisions on the Camaro within that 11 years of the second generation.
The difference is they made these a little wider.
Right. They kind of changed up the rear end of it a little bit. They call them bumperettes, and it was almost kind of a spoiler. 1970 was also the only year when the Camaro by Chevrolet logo was included actually on the vehicle.
1974 was the second time that they revised the second generation. What it included was an extruded aluminum face bars. The front grille and headlights changed dramatically. Had a whole new rear bumper, wedge-shaped tail lamps, and your power steering became standard on the V8, which is hilarious, man.
Yeah, power steering. Then in 1978, they did the third revision of the second generation. In 1978, they had the wraparound dash, and that was the only year to have the wraparound dash, but that was part of their 1978 revision. They also had the 3-color tail lens starting in 1978. Rally Sport was then offered as an official Camaro model. The Z28 now had a lot more powerful graphics as far as the decals on it. It was a lot more, it stood out a lot more from the Rally Sport and the SS. In 1980 and 1981, the Z28 also had air induction hood scoops added with a functional intake door that would open when you had the pedal to the metal.
There are many aftermarket Z28 badges available to slap on. You can put your SS's on. It doesn't make it a real Z28.
Right. I see a lot of pictures of these people that have the Z28 badge on their Camaro, but then on the front it's got the SS badge. And they just kind of slap the Z28 badge on there.
And the Z28 had different suspension, engine, and other internal powertrain parts.
Right, and they a lot of people, you'll see a Z28 and it's got, of course, the badges and the decals and everything. That's not what makes it a Z28. That was them trying to show you that it was a Z28. But if you see a vehicle that has just the badges, doesn't necessarily mean that it's a Z28 because it wasn't just a cosmetic difference. In fact, other than the decals, there's nothing different cosmetically about the Z28. The biggest difference was the engine and the suspension and the powertrain. The Z28 also, I found out, in this generation, didn't have air conditioning.
Price point 1970, of course, it didn't change a whole lot. We're still cheap. It's all
right. We're still honestly close to the same price as the first generation.
$3 grand, a little less for the base one. Of course, if you ordered it loaded up, I would say it was probably close to $4 once you throw all the options in. Still, $4 grand. Boy,
yeah.
Wouldn't you like to go back in time and buy about 5 or 6 of those? Camaros in the movies. For second, we're gonna strictly talk about second generation Camaros that are in the movies,
because Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and that movie came out the year after the second generation in Hull had stopped.
They totaled the car, and Sean Penn, of course, is like, I can fix this car, and that guy's like, you can't fix this car, Spicoli. Oh yeah, of course. Then Bruce Willis crashes a second generation Camaro in Pulp Fiction.
Well, he crashes into the second generation Camaro in Pulp Fiction.
And then, of course, you really have to talk about Transformers. If you remember right, he went to a pot lot, as I call it, and Bumblebee kind of picked him out. And of course, it was, what year was it? 76, I think.
So, yeah.
Rust bucket, ugly looking, smoke when you started it, just awful. But it was a second generation Camaro. That's just a little rundown of second generation Camaros. Anyway, I'm Chef Jay, always cooking up good deals.
And I'm Weldon Smith, the Situation, because any good deal does depend on the situation.
Out.